Because you're from Romania, right?
Yes.
Woo! How do I say beautiful in Romanian?
Feminine or masculine?
To a woman.
To a woman, frumoasă.
Frumoasă.
That's
you know
good.
what I'm saying?
That's a good accent.
It was pretty good?
Very good. I looked for therapists. It didn't really work out. I'm not saying that I'm a strong believer in therapy. It didn't really work out for me.
Why?
I just couldn't connect with the person. They weren't really able to answer my questions.
What I got from that is like, shit, sometimes you don't want to know everything. Because you see those two eyes closed, they look peaceful. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they look like, you know what, I'm chilling, you know?
There's always something that sparks joy within our soul, right? So I think our responsibility is to look for those things. I tried everything. I tried journaling, and journaling is great. Walks in the park with my dog, meditation, working out, anything. And they all helped.
Right.
So I think everybody should really start being curious and look for what they need. You know? Especially after I moved here and I don't have my family, all my family is in Romania, I started to, well, I'm also more mature, I think it comes with age. I'm starting to see the value and the strength that your family gives you.
When did you feel like you've gotten to this place? Was this recent?
This was 2021, I think.
Okay, so during the pandemic, right?
Yes, that's when I started to figure everything out. I was reading a lot more than I do now, fortunately. A lot of spiritual books and practicing meditation, and that was it. 2021 was, I guess, one of the... I know a lot of people, and of course I understand, they say the pandemic was a really dark time for them, but for me it was actually the opposite. It was more like a rebirth.
Ago, it's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know.
So yeah, we got Anna in the crib. What's up? How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good.
It's good to see you.
I am blessed and very happy that you're here because we can have a good, strong conversation about your spiritual practices and how it's healed you through your time and your life. But before we get into all that, I just want to explain to the people where you're from. Because you're from Romania, right?
Yes.
Woo! How do I say beautiful in Romanian?
Feminine or masculine?
To a woman.
To a woman, frumoasă.
Frumoasă.
That's
you know
good.
what I'm saying?
That's a good accent.
It was pretty good?
Very good.
You know? It got that Latino tongue.
Yeah.
But
well,
all right.
Romanian is a Latin language. It's very similar to Spanish, actually.
That's interesting. I didn't even know. And a lot of people in Romania, they have strong belief in like Christianity, right?
Yes.
And
Orthodox.
so you were born into that experience?
Yes.
How was it like growing up in Romania within that perspective and then coming to the perspective that you have today?
I went to church as a kid many times, especially during holidays, Easter and Christmas. I remember for Easter, we used to spend like all night in church, and it was beautiful, just listening to people's prayers, singing. It was just a beautiful experience. So I've always been close to God, I feel like.
Right.
But as a kid, I didn't really understand it much. Today, I'm more spiritual than I am religious, but I still go to church. So I guess I'm a mix. I'm spiritual and religious because I feel like God is, and I believe that God is just one in everything, in church, in the Buddhist monastery that I visit too sometimes in Jersey. I'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
So God is just in us. It's just love. It's just a feeling. It's connection. It's community. It's us helping each other. It's having a conversation to help other people. So yeah, I have strong roots in religion, but I practice both today.
Wow. Tell me a little bit more about Romania. Like, how was school like, and how was the environment? How was the parties? How was the culture?
Romanians definitely love to have a lot of fun.
Yeah?
For sure. Yeah. Like I know clubs here close at what, 3 a.m., 2 a.m. In Romania, the party just goes until 6 a.m.
It just keeps going.
It just keeps going, especially in the summer. So it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and school was great. I've always had close friends. Like I've always had a best friend since kindergarten till, I don't know, college. I've always had a person, 2 or 3 people that I was really close to. So we always had like little groups.
Right.
Yeah.
They were able to be your guiding hand or your guiding force throughout, you know, life in a way, right?
Yeah.
And then when you moved over here, you were by yourself?
Yes.
How was that for you?
It was tough. I wasn't really by myself. I moved here because I fell in love.
Okay.
So I had a partner.
Yeah.
But I didn't anticipate how much I would miss my family and my friends. I came here, I wasn't able to go to school, I wasn't able to drive or get a job because I was waiting on my papers to be okay.
Right.
So it was definitely hard, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why I got to where I am today, like this, on my spiritual journey, because I felt really alone. I was in a really dark place. So I started looking for solutions, and that's how I got to meditation.
Explain some of those dark places. What were certain things going on in your life, certain decisions that you made to make you feel like you were in a dark place? And then we can get into what sparked those practices, what even got you to that. You know what I mean?
It was basically really dark depression. I know people are more aware of it now since the pandemic. It was just that feeling, I don't know if you have experienced it, probably people have. You wake up and you just feel like there's no reason for you to be awake or alive. I know this sounds very dark, but I'm just being really honest. It's like, oh, I'm up, great, what am I gonna do today? You know, thankfully I had a really good life with my ex-husband. Like I didn't have to worry about finances or anything like that. I was set in that sense. But on an emotional level, and I didn't have any friends, it was really hard. So I'll wake up and I didn't really know what to do with myself.
You didn't have purpose.
Exactly. I had my dog, which I still have, Elsa. She helped me a ton emotionally. I remember there were times, really bad times, I was like crying. I couldn't stop myself from crying, and she would come to me and she would sit like on me, on my lap, and she would start like giving
Licking
me
your
a ton.
face?
Right. And she wouldn't stop until I would stop crying.
Wow.
Right. So she helped me a ton. But eventually I looked for help. I looked for therapists. It didn't really work out. I'm not saying that I'm a strong believer in therapy. It didn't really work out for me.
Why?
I just couldn't connect with the person. They weren't really able to answer my questions. I don't know. It was just... so I started meditating. I started with the Calm app. I did like a month, like 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes every night. I actually did it with my ex-husband. That helped. And after just maybe like 2 weeks, I was looking forward to doing it every evening. It was interesting, even though it's only 10 minutes. And then after a month, I really started to notice changes in
Your attitude.
my attitude. Yeah.
Your connections with people.
I would wake up a little happier,
Yeah.
more peaceful. I would have patience to do the things that before I wouldn't have patience to do.
Yeah.
And it would definitely help me connect with other people, for sure.
Can I share a story with you?
Of course.
So there was something that I read, right? That was like, oh, if you meditate somewhere that is difficult to get to, awkward to be in, that you could kickstart an OBE, an out-of-body experience. So, you know, I was 18, 19 years old, and I'm reading this. I'm like, let me try this. You know what I mean? Like, let me see what's good. Let me see if this is real, right? So I went to Central Park, and there was this man-made waterfall, right? You can get to it if you are familiar with New York, like by 57th Street entrance. It's like Center Drive, some shit like that. And you take the right and go down the staircase, and then towards the left you'll see like a waterfall.
Okay.
And there was these 2 fences there at the time, so it was difficult to get to. You know what I mean? And there was snow, so it was like you had to climb over this thing and then not climb a mountain, but it's like a steep hill, and there's snow, and you have to like be guiding yourself correctly or you'll fall. You know what I mean? So I made it up there, and then I started to meditate. So what is meditation, right? Meditation is the absence of thought. You have to eliminate all thoughts in your mind. All the thoughts. Can't think of anything, right? So I'm up there, and then that's when I start to see in my mind like a purple nirvana. You know what I mean? Like this was my, I guess, heaven, or this was my like
maybe your aura
or my I don't know, like my peace state, or yeah, maybe aura. But I'm flying around, and this is clouds. Everything's purple, and there's one mountain, and on top of that one mountain is one flower. And the flower is also purple. And I'm just flying around this shit. Like, I'm just flying around it.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, what is this place? You know what I mean? And then that's not even the crazy part.
Okay.
That's not even like the mind-blowing part to me. The mind-blowing part to me is when I came back. When I came back and I got up, of course I felt peace, of course I felt happiness, but I also was almost like in a daze. And there was one tree calling out to me. One tree. I'm like, why is this tree calling out to me? Like, there's so many trees, you know what I mean? And I go directly to that tree. And then all over this tree was 2 eyes closed, 1 eye open. But like small little tiny engravings. Like,
wow.
yeah.
Oh my God. Did you take a picture
Yeah, I
of
did
that?
take a picture of that.
Wow.
And then like it was, and I showed my sister, and after years, right, I had this conversation. I'm skipping a little bit, right? After years, I showed my sister the picture, and that's the part that got her like trembling almost.
Oh my God.
Because she saw something that I didn't see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the picture. And I'm like, it kind of got you even more scared, because it's like, whoa.
Was it something purple?
No, it wasn't. So the 2 eyes were closed, right? But the 1 eye open, like if you zoom in, it looks like a mouth screaming, like a face screaming, like.
Wow.
Yeah, and then like in my opinion, what I got from that is like, shit. Sometimes you don't want to know everything, because you see those 2 eyes closed, they look peaceful. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they look like, you know what? I'm chilling. You know, like, and the 1 eye open was like, woof, scary. You know what I mean? And I think back to that story many times in my life, because there's moments where you as an individual, you know, you want to tap in, you want to know it all, but then once you start tapping in and knowing too much, it could drive you to places that you don't want to even be in.
Right.
You know, like
that's what we were talking about before we started the podcast. How nobody knows how the heart beats by itself. Nobody knows what's holding us together. What's this force that's keeping us alive? But I think I like the mystery. I like that nobody knows it. Like you said, maybe there's some things that, you know,
you don't need to know.
Yeah.
It's not you, like, it's above your pay grade.
Right. Or maybe the way I would have, you know, seen what happened with the tree with you, maybe the eye open that was screaming is like maybe your shadow, your darkness, and the one that was closed is your peaceful side, and how we were supposed to find a balance between the two. So I would have seen it that way.
I see what you're saying.
Like,
yeah.
Because the darkness, a lot of people think that darkness is just evil and it's us being bad people. No, that's where your strength lays. That's where your protection is, your boundaries, because you can't really give everything to people, because then you're going to be, you know, empty without with anything.
That's
know?
true.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, what are some dynamics that you can tell to my audience to help them heal?
I think that everybody should find their own way. Everybody should be curious to know themselves, in a sense, like, what makes me happy? What do I like to do? We all have our hobbies. We all like something. Walks, nature, music, movies, hanging out with people. There's always something that sparks joy within our soul, right? So I think our responsibility is to look for those things. I tried everything. I tried journaling, and journaling is great. Walks in the park with my dog, meditation, working out, anything, and they all helped.
Right.
So I think everybody should really start being curious and look for what they need. Yeah.
Wow. What would you say, because you said you started meditating and then these practices helped you in your life, right? But was there anyone along your journey that, I don't know, maybe influenced you to be like, hey, you should try this, or you should try that? Or it was literally your own journey?
It was basically my own journey. I'm still looking for a mentor, if that was your question. I still want to learn from someone that has way more experience than I do in terms of meditation.
Right.
I think in terms of celebrities or famous people, I think Jay Shetty was a big influence in my life.
Jay Shetty.
Jay Shetty,
Okay.
a former monk. Have you heard of him? He wrote the book How to Think Like a Monk.
Okay.
I can give it to you. It's amazing. It's a great book. Like, he really, he was a former monk when he was 18. He did it for a few years and then he quit and he decided to do what he does right now, write books. He has a podcast, On Purpose.
On Purpose?
Yeah, On
Okay.
Purpose by Jay Shetty. Amazing. So I was really inspired by his story and his teaching. So he was definitely a role model for me. And I have other writers too, like Eckhart Tolle. He's amazing. The Power of Now.
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard of that book. That also changed my life. After reading that book, it's just incredible. Like the power of the present, how beautiful it is to just live moment by moment. And it's not always easy, obviously, because we have all these thoughts and we have to like function in society. We have our jobs and our families. But once you really start to see the benefits, it's like you can't stop doing it, or you can't stop looking for that thing. Always just be present. Yeah.
Wow. I've had somebody told me that on the podcast recently. My homie Stan, shout out Stan. He was like, time travel exists because we're always in the present. And I like that way of thinking. Of course, he had deeper ways of thinking about it. If you go into the podcast, when it comes out, it's not out yet, but by the time this is out, that will be out.
Okay.
It's funny because it's true. You know, you're always in the present, and then people are always thinking about their past or worried about their future. And it's relative because, you know, it allows us to be adapting and learning, but very few people are in the moment. Very few people are captured by the moment. You know, maybe they are when they go to a festival, or maybe they are when it's something that inspires them to be in the moment, right? But very few of us carry that emotion every day. I feel like I've had that feeling when I've traveled. You know, when you travel and you're in a different country, you feel more yourself than anything else. And it's wild, right?
Yeah.
It's something that sparks creativity, sparks drive, sparks interest. I think people in European countries especially, like, they travel more. You know, I feel like in America, like, it's, I guess, less travel because we're so further away from other countries and stuff like that. But there's dynamics here that are very interesting, and especially in New York City. Like, how was it for you coming to a place like New York City?
Well, before that, I want to say that I think that's why people travel or go to concerts or they do like all these extreme sports. Everybody wants to live in the present, even though they think about it or not, even though they believe in it or not.
Right.
Because
I
that's
see what you're saying.
Right. When
Yeah.
you're like, let's just say you're skydiving, you cannot think about your job or your mother, or when you're in that moment,
Yeah.
you're
It's just
in
that
that
moment.
moment. You're
Yeah.
fully present,
Yup.
and that's
Yup.
what makes it
That's
so
a fact.
incredible.
Yeah.
By the way, I haven't done skydiving.
I
I
did.
really wanted to. You did?
Yeah.
But tell me
It
about
was
it.
fucking dope. It was crazy. Cause all right, so and I'm gonna tell you, cause the first time I went, I was going with my homies, and
Oh, so you went multiple times?
no, because I had to. So listen to
Oh.
this. The first time we went, the weather was bad.
Oh.
And that's something you have to like really take into
Yeah,
consideration. It could
yeah.
just be a little bit of wind, and they're like, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, not a little bit of wind, but enough wind that they're like, we can't do it. And it's just like, damn. So we had to go back, and this was like a 2-hour trip to get there. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, waste of time. But whatever. The second time we went, that was an experience because we actually skydived. Like, we went 13,000 feet up in the air.
Wow.
I'm strapped to somebody. The dude that I was strapped with is shorter than me.
Oh, okay.
so like in the air, it looks funny because I'm huge. You know what I mean? And then this guy in the back, and then I had my hair that was long, so I felt bad for him because my hair just kept like right to his face.
You couldn't see anything.
But he was doing this thing. He was directing it. And then I had the guy, the camera guy, because you could pay for to get the camera. Like they'll do video and taking pictures too. And I'm thinking to myself like, damn, this guy is so good. Like, how can you be taking pictures in the air while you're falling? You know what I mean? And just like that, and so comfortable with it. Sorry if I'm spitting. At a certain point, he grabbed my hand. And then, like, the camera guy, right? And then we're just doing, like...
Oh, that's so cool.
And he's taking pictures.
Oh, I love it.
That was crazy.
He didn't tell you he's going to do that. That was a surprise.
No, yeah, that was a surprise. I was like, I'm with it. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, how many chances you get to do that? You know what I mean?
That's so cool.
Crazy. And you could see... all right. You could see the fucking curvature of the earth. When you're up there, like you could see the bend, like you could see it. If you look far, you could see it, like you could see it bend. It's amazing. It was an amazing experience. I recommend anyone to do it.
I definitely want to do it.
And then the funniest thing happened, right? Before we even went up there, there was this really, really old guy, right? That came down, like he just finished skydiving. And I was like, wow, man, like, cause he's old, you know what I mean? Like, he's an old guy. And I was like, how many times have you done this? He's like, 6 times.
Wow.
Today.
Oh my
Today.
gosh, is that his job or?
No, he just does it. He just loves doing it. I was like, what do you mean today? I'm like, how many times? I was like, how many times in your whole life? He's like, oh, over 1,000. I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. That whole face drop, I had the same thing. I was like,
did you ask him if like every time he feels the same way or better or different?
I was at that point, I was already too excited to have my first experience. You know what I mean? After that, hearing that, I was like, what? Like, I'm okay to do this. You know what I mean?
Amazing. He's probably retired and enjoying life.
Yeah, nah, for sure. And that's like what he does. Like, and that's what gives him thrill. That's what gives it. And he does it like at that point. You're doing it by yourself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you don't need nobody strapped onto you. You're just like doing some cool tricks.
Were you really afraid before or during?
I wasn't afraid because I had an experience when I was in Spain where I cliff dived. And that was my first experience that I was like, you know what I mean? I was like that scared me more almost, you know what I mean? Like in a weird way, you know? And because that's a whole other story. But it really, it gives you a certain type of an excitement and thrill that is unmatched, you know? It's definitely something that I would recommend people trying, you know, but not everyone's going to want to do that. I understand. I understand some people, you know, respect their lives in a tremendous way that they don't even want to get themselves into a certain situation that can get them killed, you know, but.
Yeah, even though I do believe that it's, you know, if it's meant for you to die, you can die any second.
That's
anywhere,
so true.
Even right now.
That's so true. That's so true. Unfortunately, like brain aneurysms. Like that's so weird.
Anything,
like
heart attacks.
Yeah, anything. At a random moment. It's your time when it's your time. That's the part about life that I guess some people don't necessarily want to pay attention to or bothered in the conversation. I remember back in college, we were talking about death in class. and it was an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people.
Still
like,
is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like I was very comfortable with talking about it because I've experienced it throughout my whole life at a very young age, and just like a lot of like different conversations I already had. So it's how do I explain it? Like, it's not something that people should necessarily be bothered by, but be able to confront. Because then in life, you don't have to be so like scared of it or neglecting it. It could just be it's time.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess that's what's also a great part about just trying to find your own peace within the time that you're living. You know?
I find death peaceful. I find living hard. Right? Nobody knows what's gonna happen. I mean, if you believe in a afterlife, that's a different story. But I find living more difficult than dying. I used to be afraid of dying. I think my spiritual journey helped with that. But no, I don't. I'm super comfortable with it. Talking about it, it's.
So you know Switzerland, right? Switzerland, they have the whole chamber and stuff that it's completely legal to kill yourself in Switzerland.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think it's legal to kill yourself
No.
anywhere. No?
No, you cannot kill. Like you could, if you not to say that it's like.
Well, if I'm dead.
Then who's gonna do anything? But
yeah.
no, but I'm saying like, let's say if you attempted to kill yourself, they would put you in a ward or something like.
Oh.
Or like.
Oh,
some
I
type
see
of
what
thing,
you mean.
you know?
Okay.
But yeah, if you're dead, then you're dead.
Yeah.
But, right. That's wild. But so you would think that that's okay, right? Like if that practice that's done in Switzerland could be done anywhere.
Yeah, I think
If
we're
people
all
had the
responsible
choice,
for,
right.
exactly. We all make our own choices. We're all responsible for our own lives. No judgment.
Right.
Yeah.
If you feel like it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like most people, when they feel like they want to take their own life, they can't find a way out. And it's mostly like inner pain, like mental pain. So they could find help.
Yeah.
Maybe they're missing a source of love. They don't have family or friends to talk to be able to share some of that pain.
Right.
I remember growing up, it's the way I was raised too, like a little independent, like I do everything on my own. I don't need anybody. I'm fine. People are going to hurt me. They're going to disappoint me, blah, 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 all that stuff. But especially after I moved here and I don't have my family, all my family is in Romania, I started to, I'm also more mature. I think it comes with age. I'm starting to see the value and the strength that your family gives you. Like that love, that support, even though they're so far away. Like every time I come from Romania, I try to visit every year. Every time I come back here for a few days, I'm like depressed because I miss them so much.
Wow.
Because I had so much love there, and now I'm alone again anyway. But then after a few days, I just feel so much strength because I've connected with my family, and I know they're there and they're healthy and they love me and they support me. So having, and not just family, friends too, having people around that can share your pain or you can talk to them is huge.
The power of people.
I'm never taking that for granted. Yeah, that's beautiful.
When was the first time you felt like, not regret, but someone did you wrong, and then like you know, how did you deal with that?
Well, it happened recently. I'm not going to get into details, but for the first time in my life, and I think this is also thanks to my spiritual practice, for the first time in my life, I actually felt compassion for that person.
Nice.
Because I know their situation and I know they don't really have that source of love that I was talking to you about, meaning they don't really have friends or family to go to and get love from them. So I felt compassion, like this person is very lonely. This is the reason why they did what they did.
Right.
I can't really be upset with them or wish them, you know, any bad things to happen to them or anything like that. So I felt compassion. That helped me a lot move on. I mean, it helped me a lot to move on. So
That's great. I feel like compassion is hard to have sometimes, right? Especially when you're pissed off or you're angry or whatever emotion you're feeling. And it's great that you use what you learned in your own life to find that compassion.
Yeah.
I think that people, like you said, they need to find their own way. They need to find their own medium.
Yeah. Yeah, you find what works for you. You find what brings you joy. I think that's the first thing. Like whatever makes me happy, I'm just gonna do more of that, and eventually I'm gonna find other things, or I'm gonna meet people, or I'm gonna just love myself more.
Right.
And it's gonna work. Eventually, you're gonna come out of the dark place.
When did you feel like you've gotten to this place? Was this recent?
This was 2021, I think.
Okay, so during the pandemic, right?
Yes, that's when I started to figure everything out. I was reading a lot more than I do now, fortunately. A lot of spiritual books and practicing meditation, and that was it. 2021 was, I guess, one of the... I know a lot of people, and of course I understand, they say the pandemic was a really dark time for them, but for me it was actually the opposite. It was more like a rebirth.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Where would you like to take your practice?
I definitely want to open my own meditation studio.
Yeah.
The next 5 years or so. But not just meditation. Like my vision, I want to have a place like, you know how people go to meditation retreats? But they're kind of pricey. You have to fly somewhere to enjoy all those benefits. I want to have
thousands of dollars.
Right. I want to have like a place, like a center where you get all those services in one place. I could also have like a yoga studio, like just a room, like maybe even to just talk to someone that actually cares, like me and you. Like you feel stressed, just go in here, talk to this person, maybe get a hug or make you feel better. You know, so I want to build like this wellness center for everybody to come in. But meditation would be like the main thing.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
What would you call it?
I don't know. I didn't think about the name. That would be like the last problem.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I want to know about your spiritual practice. I want to know about your meditation. How do you meditate? How often you do it?
Okay. Well, this is how, and it's great that you already had a similar connection with mine. Like I also have a strong belief in God. You know, I really do. Like I believe stories in the Bible are useful in no matter what time you're living. You know what I mean? Like it's very it's something that God did give us. You know what I mean? Along with life and along with nature, along with the earth, you know, along with rocks, stones, like with all these things. But the thing is that for me, it depends on who's practicing, who's using it, and for what. The thing I like about God and like religion is that it's orderly, and it keeps people to understand and direct them in a certain way. The spiritual realm is very tricky, and it depends on who's using it. You know?
What do you mean by tricky?
It's tricky. It could be used in a bad way. It could be used in a manipulative way. It could be used in a gainful way.
But I think that's religion too.
I respect that too, but like in the deeper message of just of like, let's say Christianity, right? The deeper message, not the religion itself, and then comparing that to the spiritual world of meditation and stones and healing. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole other practice. That's not necessarily with that technically. You know what I mean? So for me, I respect both sides, and I love and cherish both sides. But I understand that this side right here, it really depends on who's doing it, and I know that, you know, and I've seen it, you know. So for me, that's my way of thinking. How I practice it, I do pray to God and I do meditate.
Okay.
And my times that I'm praying to God, I'm not necessarily praying to Him to like. Sometimes I'm asking, right? Like, please, like, help me. But like sometimes, for most of the times, I'm just saying what I'm grateful for. Like I'm saying thank you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for my life. Thank you for like when I'm at the gym and I'm feeling myself go harder. I'm like, thank you, God. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like that those moments. That's when I'm connecting with God. You know what I mean? And then when I meditate, like I said before, I'm trying to just eliminate thoughts. I'm trying to eliminate all my thoughts. Because I think a lot. My mind is so like, you know? So, yeah, absolutely. And to try to eliminate thought is very hard. So you need to set aside time in your day and it will provide some peace for you. And that's how I feel. And you can do that anywhere. And that's what I learned with trying to meditate in different places, you know, being uncomfortable or maybe.
It's definitely harder to do it when there's like noise, like
or people or whatever.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but it's possible.
It is possible, you know, and that might kickstart your OBE experience. You heard? So let the people know where can they find you.
I just started an account on a practice called healme.com. It's a holistic practice. You can find any type of service there. It's really cool. So I'm Anna Maria Grace there on healme.com. And yeah.
And shout out your Instagram too.
Oh, my Instagram, yeah, it's pointaftersentence.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a pleasure. Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure. Thank you.
Go. It's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know. So yeah.